The Colored Battle Against Hypertension, made by Anais Shoemaker and Anjanae Hassell.
Hey, I'm Anais, she's Anjanae, and today we're going to be presenting a condition that has killed and affected so many African Americans. By presenting this to the class, we hope to highlight how important this condition is in our communities.
Hypertension. What is hypertension? Hypertension is a condition in which the force of the blood against the artery walls are way too high.
More than 40% of non-Hispanic African American men and women develop high blood pressure.
The frequency of hypertension. According to Medline Plus, hypertension affects an estimated 29% of adults in the United States. Prevalence of the condition increases with age, and approximately 63% of people over the age of 60 are affected. In African Americans, the condition is more common, starts at a younger age, and is more severe than in other populations.
Yes, and hypertension inheritance. When it comes to hypertension, it is inherited through the family. If there is an individual whose parents have hypertension, it is very likely that that individual would also have the same condition, especially if both parents are affected.
Genes associated with hypertension. AGT. This gene helps give instruction for making the protein called angiotensinogen. This protein regulates the blood pressure of the individual while balancing the fluids and salts that are in the individual's body. Another gene associated with hypertension is AGTR1. This gene helps give instruction for making the protein called angiotensin 2 receptor type 1. This protein also regulates the blood pressure of the individual while balancing the fluids and salts that are in the individual's body.
So why is this common for African Americans? So a famous scientist by the name of James Beckerman, he stated that African Americans develop high blood pressure at younger ages than any other group in the United States. He also stated that African Americans are more likely to develop complications associated with high blood pressure. These problems include strokes, kidney disease, blindness, dementia, and heart disease.
A quick fact. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, African Americans excrete a sodium load more slowly and less completely than whites.
Wow.
This results in suppression of the RAAS due to volume loading that typically begins in childhood.
Some genetic factors is the high blood pressure rates in African Americans may be caused by the genetics of someone from African descent. Most Black people are sensitive to salt, and they also respond differently to the high blood pressure drugs. All of this will increase the risks of Blacks developing high blood pressure.
Some environmental factors are when comparing the possibility of white people with high blood pressure versus Black people with high blood pressure, the percentage difference is very drastic.
Yes.
41% of Black people have high blood pressure. Most experts think that this is because of the economic inequality or discrimination. This would also explain why most African Americans are overweight. When it comes to blood pressure, it can be affected in many different environmental factors such as location, temperature, latitude, altitude, air pollutions, and noise.
So, blood pressure levels. Me personally, being a young adult, I think is really, really important for us as a class, as a community, to learn how to read blood pressure levels, whether you're at the hospital or if you have a machine at home. So basically, normal blood pressure is, if it says 120 over 80, you're good. It's perfect. If it's 120 over 139 or 80 over 89, that's like at risk. I would suggest just take it easy and maybe eat something to help to bring it down. And lastly, if it's higher than 140 or higher than 90, I would suggest to go to the hospital because it could be a sign of heart attack or stroke or anything else fatal. So I would suggest that. Yes.
What can increase the possible chances of developing hypertension? African Americans are the only race that have an automatic risk factor for developing high blood pressure. Here are some main factors that will and can increase the chances of developing hypertension. These factors are
A family background of high blood pressure and excessive weight, existing diabetes, increased age, high dietary of salt and fat, and a low intake of potassium, inactivity, and smoking.
the more risk factors you have, the more likely it is that you have high blood pressure or you could possibly develop it in the future.
So let's say you have hypertension. Now, what do you do? So, although high blood pressure can't be cured, there are ways that you can take to prevent it.
Take action and prevent hypertension by consulting with your doctor. There are many different remedies to prevent hypertension, but your doctor knows what's best for you and for your body. Also, you can follow the DASH eating plan, the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, also known as DASH. This is a plan that includes eating less fat and less saturated fat, as well as eating more fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and whole grain food. You don't have to stop eating your favorite foods completely. Just make sure you're taking the modified adjustments to watch the amount you intake. Also, limit your salt intake.
Yes,
I
yes.
know that most of our favorite foods are chicken, fried rice, or even collard greens,
See?
but
Yes.
those contain a large amount of salt. So, in order to keep your blood pressure down, you have to monitor how much salt you can consume and how much you intake in your foods.
How to take action and prevent hypertension. Watch your weight. Being overweight can increase your risk of developing high blood pressure. As long as you exercise regularly and maintain a healthy diet, you should be okay. Quit smoking. Tobacco smoke can make your blood pressure actually rise. It can also directly damage your heart and blood vessels. And lastly, take your prescribed medications. Your doctor may prescribe medications to control the blood pressure. It's okay to take more than one drug to treat the problem as long as it's directed by your doctor. Your doctor may ask you to switch drugs or change the dosage until you find the right combination that works best for you in order to control the high blood pressure.
To sum it all up, most African Americans develop hypertension at young ages. It is very important for you to watch your salt intake and be cautious with the amount of food you eat. It is important to check with your doctor and possibly get tested to see if you have hypertension or to see if there has been hypertension in your medical family history. Hypertension is something that should be taken seriously, and hopefully, this information has helped you grasp a better understanding of hypertension. Thank
Thank you.